Today we're going to be looking at a pretty bizarre game in the Star Wars series, Masters of Teras. Masters is a fighting game that's set in the Star Wars universe. Now, a fighting game using Star Wars characters doesn't sound like such a terrible idea, but the execution here is frankly embarrassing, and Masters feels like an unfinished joke of a game. The story is set between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. After the destruction of the Death Star, the Emperor figures that the best way to get revenge on the Rebel Alliance would be to challenge them in a Mortal Kombat tournament, so he calls on Arden Lin to attack key members of the Alliance. And that's about all there is to the plot. There is no attempt whatsoever to expand on this. There's no cutscenes between fights, nor are there any character-specific endings that try to shed more light on the story. The opening crawl is basically a cheap way of explaining why Star Wars characters are trying to beat the crap out of each other. The crawl might as well have just said, "A few guys at LucasArts got drunk one weekend while playing an all-night marathon of Super Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat, and they got a crazy idea to make a fighting game with Star Wars characters." So yeah, here's that game. But now we have to talk about the actual game, which is god-awful. One of the main modes is Arcade, which has you fighting all of the other characters, even yourself. The Versus mode, which is your standard player versus player mode. And then there's Survival mode, which is just like Arcade mode, only it's game over once you die. And finally there's Team mode, which has you selecting up to 4 characters to go against 4 random characters. So basically every mode is pretty much the same, just with some slight differences. But no matter what mode you pick, each one is brought down by the crap-ass controls. No matter which character you pick, you'll slowly inch your way across the arena, and then start randomly pressing buttons to attack your opponent. The combo for the characters are not listed anywhere in the game, so you're going to need to look at the manual or look them up online. Also, you'll need to look at the move list in order to figure out how to perform some of the special moves. Though, I still don't understand how you're supposed to learn the moveset for the unlockable characters, since they're not included in the manual. So even after I unlocked Darth Vader, I had no clue what in the hell I was supposed to do to perform his moves. Even in the practice mode, there is no ability to look at a move list. Aside from basic attacks, there's also a dodge move, but the dodge move makes it look like you're just dancing with your opponent. Not like it matters whether you learn what the movesets are or not, because you'll probably be hitting the right buttons and your character will be doing nothing, or another attack altogether. The biggest issue with the combat, no matter which character you pick, is that they all start off with their fists as their primary weapons. So Luke has no lightsaber, and Han's blaster is resting comfortably in his back pocket. I mean, what the hell kind of bullshit is this? Did the developers honestly think that players were going to select Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader and expect them to punch the shit out of each other? You need to equip your lightsaber or blaster at the start of every single match. Not that these weapons even matter, since they take about as much damage as your character's fist. And what sense does that make? And also, it's just weird to have one character fighting with a lightsaber and another with a blaster, since, I mean, wouldn't this end up happening? During the matches, you can also knock your opponent out of the ring, but sometimes it can be hard to see where the boundaries are. And also, you might be at the edge of the arena and you go to dodge a move and you'll fall off. The character selection is also underwhelming. You've got your standard picks like Luke, Leia, Han, Chewbacca, Boba Fett, and Darth Vader, but then there's Hor, a Tusken Raider, and Thoak, Gamorrean Guard. Oh yeah, those are some real classic Star Wars characters right there. I mean, what about Yoda, or Lando, or hell, even Obi-Wan? Was there a fan outrage to include a Tusken Raider and the pig from Jabba's palace? The presentation is just as bad. Character models are blocky and unappealing to look at. The arenas are also disgusting and barren. Occasionally there is something in the background in order to distinguish which level you're on, though half of the objects in the background look pretty bad as well. On a side note, the menus are pretty bland and it looks like something a basic programmer could have put together in little over an hour. Overall, Star Wars Masters of Teras feels like a game that someone came up with and coded within a week. No effort went into this game at all, and the developers seem to have no respect for the Star Wars franchise. This is the type of game that you'll show your friends not because it's good, but because your friends probably wouldn't believe you if you told them about it. You could probably play it for an hour or two and experience everything the game has, and then you'll be bored of it, and take it out of your PlayStation and let it collect dust on your shelf or under your bed. So come back next time when we look at Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.